that was an easy fix. So yeah, I've basically just tied guy ropes to the poles with sand pegs. So basically created a tripod on each pole. Thank you for all who gave the tips, but this is the next morning. I haven't actually seen them yet. The video will have gone live by the time you've seen this though.
After a lot of wood cutting, we finally have our couch.
Yay!
Ta-da!
Finish.
Beautiful. So that's custom, like camouflage paint.
It's like patinaed paint and flakes a bit. I like it. Was the floor of the Mog. So we used it for the baby bed area and we had enough to be able to use it in here as well. 20mm thick and it looks really nice. So we've got a lot of sanding ahead of us. This will be lifting up and then we'll have our composite walls around the edging and it will look really schmick.
If anyone knows what the noise means, let us know in the comments, because Chuk has made some funny noises recently. We're not too sure what's going on. She's been well fed today. I'm not too sure, Chuk. Not too sure. Alright, Chris on the cut-off wheel for some brackets. Ange on the orbital sander for the bench. Let's do it! Alright, and this is the result of teamwork. I started to remove the first layer of like army paint and Chris is doing the nicer finish with the wood grain.
That's good.
You are not joking when you say it was hard work. They will be worth it.
Imagine doing it by hand, it would be almost impossible.
Oh my god. Free wood and good quality wood, strong. All of the bonus. We don't mind the hard work when we tick all these boxes. Now it's time to go home and come back here tomorrow for more sanding, more aluminium, more of everything.
Groundhog Day.
Final piece of the puzzle.
Oh, this is one that's probably too tight right now. Hey! We have a couch finally.
Ta-da!
That was a lot of work, but worth it.
Looks so much nicer than a few days ago when it was like still the paint like chipped, and it was a decent 2 days of sanding, and then you did all
2
this
days, 3 days, 2 days.
Yeah, 2.5 days I think,
2.5
with like
days.
with the cutting and everything. Yeah, but worth it. I think like it's really good quality wood.
This will lift up and give us access underneath, so we'll need to cut this across here and have one fixed edge. And we've done the backing, so we'll put that in, and we've also done the big one, which is down here on the platform.
Yeah, the crazy thing was like this food, we don't know how old it was, but it's been sitting like outside, it's been like on the mug for a long time. It was full of termites.
Yeah, most of the edges of it were like termite ridden, so between us trying to pick them out and Chook, we decimated the local termite population.
Sorry, but yeah, necessary. No termites allowed in the Unimog.
Nope.
Alright, bring on the backing.
Let's carry on.
Alright, and another little progress shot. Got the backing now. Chris has built this little platform on the hinge so that we can access the storage underneath. We've got the other backing that will need to come here, making sure everything is nice and flat. Very happy with the progress from the past few days. Chris is doing more sanding, more staining the wood. Hopefully that's the last day. And while he was doing that, I've been starting to work on the Hoverhead Cabinet. So this is a rough kind of look at it. It's quite a small one, but we look into the camper and we actually don't have that much room above the window, so we just want to make sure obviously it doesn't take as well too much of the living space. So I think this dimension would do well. We're using this time some aluminium bracket as well to keep the weight low, and we'll have like very much, not much like wood on the outside as well, so it should be a very low overhead cabinet because obviously you don't want to have weight up high, so that's one of the main mission. So yeah, I might just start actually to bolt it today, and maybe we'll do like a little test fit in the coming days. In the coming days, we'll have to go to get some foam potentially for the couch, cut to dimension, and start to think what we're gonna do for the actual cushion in terms of like the actual material. I don't think I'll be able to sew it myself, but we shall see what we do. I think anything custom might be a bit too expensive. So that's one thing that we have to get done. And after, we're just waiting, I guess, for last aluminum order, which is crazy to think finally we're getting there. The last one is coming up. So yeah, very happy with the progress of the weekend.
Okay, a little update on the door saga, which has been going on for some time now. Gone with this solution for now. I think it was only about $27. It's 316 stainless doorstop, and I've basically put it on a piece of aluminium that I've riveted to the door frame. It's got basically like a little foot and a slide. So this is my contraption that I'm using as a door stop. But yeah, it works pretty well. It just slides along and shuts like so, and then all the way out. I had assumed it would lock. I had assumed it would stay like so, but it definitely does not. So that's why I'm using the little clip. That goes into place and the door moves a tiny bit, but not too much. And bonus is that it's kept the door a little bit past 90 degrees, but I didn't want the door to open up all the way to the side of the box, because we've got not only the door handle, but our two clipsal electrical inlet and outlets. So yeah, the door can't go flush against the actual side of the camper. So that's why that magnet that I had put in was closer to the hinge, was to stop that door from going all the way. So yeah, hopefully that's pretty much it for the door. Alright, so as you already saw, we've got the wood in place, the 20mm thick wood. I have done a concealed piano hinge on this lift up area. I really wish I'd done that on the baby bed. You guys were like, why didn't you conceal the hinge? And I think it's because I was traumatized from trying to do the door unsuccessfully, but it does look much nicer having that hinge concealed. We used an oil on the wood. It is, I think it's Elm. It's just from the local hardware store, but it's way too dark of an oil-based stain. So I added a ton of mineral terps to it, and that kind of diluted it and came out with a nice finish. So these you're not going to see much. They're going to have cushions on them, so will the back. This will be the most access, so that's why I sanded the underside as well. So I want to talk a little bit about the diesel heater. I installed that the other day. Very simple install really. The only thing that would have made it much easier is if the actual unit itself was flush with the floor, but I can't do that in here. There's not enough room for it to be here because there is going to be a platform, but it's not going to be high enough to conceal that whole heater. So I've got the exhaust pipe exposed in here slightly. I mean, it looks like it's all nice and sealed, but I'm definitely going to get a CO2 reader anyway to make sure that that never leaks. So pretty straightforward. So Angie, you come a bit closer here. Underneath you've got two ports. One is the exhaust, which I've kind of temporarily wrapped in rubber. I don't know how hot the actual exhaust pipe is going to get, so I need to test that first. The other one is your air intake hose. And then you've got a fuel hose, which I've got in just some old conduit. That runs through to the fuel pump. This apparently does an annoying clicking noise on all diesel heaters. But what's a really good thing about that kit from Maxpeedingrods is it's on like a rubber dampening bush, so that should absorb a lot of that sound. Goes through to an inline filter and then down through the bottom of the truck. So otherwise, very straightforward unit. It's got a screen which I will plug in soonish, I guess, and we'll have that screen mounted. It also comes with a little wireless remote. And then this guy has an intake on this side, so it does need to pull some air from one end, which in kind of our storage area. And then this is obviously the heater output. Nice bit of hose that they've given us. That we'll probably have coming, you know, finishing here. And then they've got a couple of vents, so probably have that about there, I would say. So yeah, nice little unit, looking forward to cranking that. We've spoken to other people with very similar units and they reckon the 5 kilowatt will be overkill in here, but at least it'll mean we don't have to have it turned on for very long. So I'll wire that up in the next few days. I'll show you the exhaust on the outside of the truck. Okay, so in the back here is the exhaust that's coming through the floor with like a little muffler on it, which is cute. So that has to face down towards the road. So that's there, and then the intake, the air intake faces the opposite direction, so the front of the vehicle. And that they've given us basically like a little filter pod so that insects and stuff can't climb in there, but I can also pull it out and clean it. So that worked really well. Now the fuel line, if you come this way, Ange. At the moment I've just got it here while I decide what to do with it. So it's coming through the floor. I will run that on conduit down along the chassis rail to our jerry can holder. Now the kit did come with its own sort of fuel tank. It's a 10-litre upright one. I'm not going to use it. It might be okay if you had it on the inside of the vehicle, but I don't trust that on the outside. So what we're going to do, and this will be a little bit pricey, but we're going to buy a purpose-built jerry can designed for a diesel heater. So it'll be 20 litres, it'll fit in here side mount, and that should work really well for that. I don't want to plumb the diesel heater into the main fuel tank. I want to keep that as a completely separate unit. I don't mind filling up a 20-litre jerry can every once in a while. I mean, these units are so economical that it, you know, 20 litres will last so long, so I don't really need it into the main fuel tank. But I'll give you guys an update once that's all wired up and I can crank it. Alright, so a big new addition to the mothership in here. We've got Enerdrive's eSYS-e board. Now this is kind of a DIY plug-and-play system that they make on this beautiful board here. So all the wiring is basically hidden behind these little covers. So it's such a cool setup. So we've got our 40 amp ePOWER charger. So that is your AC charger. So when we plug into, say, a caravan park or someone's house or whatever, this will charge our 400 amp hours of lithium. And then also pre-wired, we've got our 40 amp DC to DC charger, which means we can plug in, first of all, we'll plug in our 100 watt solar panel on the roof. So that'll be separate from the 4 larger 200 watt ones. And we also have a solar blanket. That'll be plugged straight into our DC to DC charger here. And that also will regulate the voltage coming from our generator, which is basically like an alternator, which is 24 volts. So this will regulate that and charge our lithium batteries, our 400 amp hour lithium battery bank, as we drive the Mog. So kind of a 2-in-1 there, I guess. Now the whole board is awesome. First of all, we've got our big button here, which is the battery restart. So if the 400 amp hours gets too low, voltage gets too low and they cut out, I can actually reset it from here rather than going underneath and resetting each battery by itself. So that's really good. We've got all of our fusing, which is really nice. We've got circuit breakers, and we also have pre-wired fuse banks. So 2 separate ones here, so we can plug so much stuff in just straight into this board, which is going to be really nice. But I'll talk more about that once we get a bit closer to it. So yeah, very excited to be playing around with that. Also got a couple of goodies down here as well, which I'll show you next time. They are not going to stay there. We will be changing them a lot. We just wanted to put them out for the show, just to kind of demonstrate the system that we're going to be running in here.
Here's our massive table. Don't mind us.
It's pretty good.
We're just brainstorming.
Our swivel table. This was going to be for the floor, but we've decided we might actually turn this into our bench top instead. Do a different, cheaper, uglier floor and then have it covered in our vinyl anyway. So I think this will make a really good sliding tabletop, and we can cut it down and trim it to the exact size we want once we have our swivel table. Yeah, it's pretty cool. We're actually sitting around a dining room table for once.
It's really hard to know exactly what is the right measurement. There's no right answer you can find online. It's very much obviously a custom decision for us to make. So right now we're just trying to think. Obviously our main concern is this corner over there. Obviously Rana is hanging, but we are worried that one day the cabinetry will get hit by the table, so we may have to shrink a little bit of the width and obviously move the table more this way. But you were looking at one of these telescopic tables from Caravan, like that can slide in and out, like left, right, front, back. They're not the prettiest, but they definitely look super handy and really
the most functional.
Yeah, exactly. And that would be quite hard, I think, to build one ourselves. And yeah, it's better to get it done with. So yeah, we might order it soon and yeah, get that tabletop cut down to size. That's once cool. We have decided what we do. Alright, and now it's time to get back into the overhead cabinet because we made some good progress on the couch. We just did like a little test, it fits nicely. Now we're gonna glue it, and that will be the base of our overhead cabinet. Let's do it. And it's the moment of truth. Sitting in our foam. Oh my god. Alright, so the verdict. I feel like 10 centimeters almost too thick. No?
I don't think
it doesn't
for me.
shrink that much. Maybe because you're heavier than me.
Check your feet down flat. What does it feel like?
It's a bit, I think, too high for me in comparison to that. I think we'll be higher than that.
I think it's a little bit higher.
And let's have a look at the back. The back needs to go a little bit higher. So what, should we make a mark on the foam? So yesterday we went to a foam shop specializing in cutting to size. They gave us some offcuts, I guess, of foam, which is really nice of him. So this is a 10 centimeter high density foam for the bottom. I think for the backing, yeah, it said we didn't need a high density. We've got just like a medium density. It's kind of like a wedge shape, and we asked for like a lumbar support kind of arrangement here, but it's slightly, I think, too low. It should start maybe here and go a bit more round. But yeah, otherwise that looks pretty good. So we'll kind of play around with the measurement and things like that today, and potentially get that done at the same time as upholstered. We just need to agree on the color, which
I think we have. Yeah.
We have agreed on. I've always wanted maybe like a blue, like a dark navy blue, and I think it would be good for stain as well, so that if like we get like any stain, like it's not too visible, like any light color wouldn't be great for that. And that will bring as well a touch of color, because right now we're very much a neutral camper, and as Chris said to me, we can always change it down the track if we don't like it.
Yeah, I think navy, and then we can go a little bit of a marine theme. Awkward place to work.
You did it.
We've done it.
We've done it.
We've done it.
We've got a Hoverhead Cabinet. Yay!
It's good.
It was probably the fastest structure that we built. Like it took us just like less than half a day. I think that having the pieces already pre-cut like kind of helps, and kind of like knowing exactly the shape, and it's an easy shape. So we've got basically 2 compartments. This is just separated by some alley gloss, like that 3mm thickness sheet that we use for the shower base that we just recycled as well, because we had some left over. So that was a win in that respect. So it's a really light, I guess, overhead cabinet, as light as we could make it. These are aluminium brackets as well. Everything is made of aluminium basically. Now I'm just gonna add like a little bit of wood just on the outside to make it look obviously a bit nicer, but
cool.
We did it.
Yeah, I like it.
Yay. Bring on all of the food storage.
All of the clamps. Thank you, Clint.
I think we might call it a day. We did way more than we thought we would, to be honest, on that overhead cabinet. We've got another piece of wood already pre-cut here. Just needs to find out where we're going to put the additional lighting for the kitchen.
Yeah, tomorrow we'll drill the 2 holes for that before we stick it up. I'll wire the lights in. Then we'll do the 2 front cabinets that open, do the hardware for that, and we've got a storage shelf.
Yay! But that will be for next week's episode. We'll end the episode here. So we hope you like this one. A bit more happening, I guess, than last week. Thank you so much for all the comments, the suggestion for the awning, for the bed. All the tips were like very nice to hear. So thank you so much. And we hope we see you next week.
Cheers, guys. See you next one.